Well, we told you about it in our first hour of Happening Now. President Trump signing a new executive order on immigration, notably excluding Iraq from the list of predominantly Muslim countries in the original order. Attorney General Jeff Sessions speaking out about the order a short time ago.
The executive is empowered under the Constitution and by Congress to make national security judgments and to enforce our immigration policies in order to safeguard the American public. Our founders wisely gave the executive branch the authority and the duty to protect the nation.
Well, some visa and green card holders from the banned countries getting special privileges in this new executive order, allowing them to remain in the U.S. But will it hold up in court? Joining us now, our legal panel, Jonna Spilbor, former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney, and Philip Holloway, former assistant district attorney, former JAG in the U.S. Navy, and former officer and legal advisor to a sheriff's department in Georgia. Thanks, both of you, for being here. So, Jonna, from what you can tell, does this new order pass muster? Will the Supreme Court, or I guess I should say appeals courts, let this one go?
I believe it will. I think the president's job this time around was to take what was previously a valid executive order and make it bulletproof. From the sounds of it, he tweaked it enough so that it will withstand scrutiny. Don't get me wrong, there will be litigation because the president cannot blow his nose without somebody wanting to sue over it. But we will not see a wholesale ban or stay of this executive order as we did the first one.
Philip, do you agree?
I agree that it's legal. I agree that the president has the authority to do it. I think Congress has plenary power in the area of immigration, and they've delegated that power to the president of the United States. It was wielded the same way some 19 times during the Obama administration, using the same provisions of federal law. So I think it's beyond question that this is legal. I'm skeptical, however, that some plaintiff somewhere may not find some activist judge, perhaps over in the Ninth Circuit, which has been reversed like 80% of the time, the second highest reversal rate in the United States. If they can find an activist court, we may still see ourselves bogged down in more litigation over this immigration order. I hope not, but it's possible.
Philip, sticking with you for a second, the Attorney General said it's quite clear in the Constitution that the Founding Fathers gave the president the responsibility to protect the country. Now, what is it about this order that a court might find, he's not allowed to do?
I don't think there's anything in the order itself that the president is allowed to do. I think it might be a stretch if you were to just be looking for some kind of an argument to make to say, look, it's arbitrary. The president has no reason to pick these particular 6 countries. That is about as close as I can come, and that's a stretch to find any legal argument against it, because the Constitution and the law that delegates the authority to the president doesn't really say what standards the president has to use. It just says when the president determines that an individual or a class of persons is a problem, he has this authority.
The original order, Jonna, had an indefinite ban on Syrian migration into the United States. This one lifts that. It lumps Syrians in with the other countries and says, this will be a 90-day temporary ban. Does that help his legal argument?
Oh, I believe it certainly will. And the biggest problem he clarified, and that was with legal permanent residents, we're kind of getting caught in the net the first time around. Now it's crystal clear that they're exempted from the new and improved order. The Syrian refugees will be treated the same as all other refugees for a period of 120 days. And probably this will help the most. We're not really going to roll it out until the middle of the month, so there won't be any chaos at the airports, which prompted all this extreme litigation on the fly as there was the last time.
It also blocks people who did not have a valid visa, as of January 27th, which was the day that the original order was rolled out. Philip, makes sense to you?
It does make sense, because what that does is that basically says, all right, we're going to go ahead and honor those visas that the courts have said are somewhat in limbo. So we're going to go ahead and clarify that issue, take it off the table. We're going to keep those valid. It also says, according to my reading of the order just a few minutes ago, that if you have a valid visa on the day the order becomes effective, 10 days from now, you can still come in. So I think it eliminates any real question about who is covered and who is not covered. And so I think that this order will pass muster. I think it's going to be just fine in the end, as long as we don't have an activist court that gets involved.
But, John, one of the reasons the Trump administration gave when it trotted out this order the first time so quickly and without a lot of pre-notification was that they said they didn't want a bunch of terrorists jumping on airplanes and trying to beat any kind of ban. Now that this has been made so very public, does that argument in any way lose some of its appeal?
Well, you got to hope that the people who are actually administering this order, right? The order is a piece of paper. We have people on the ground who actually make sure that they do what the order tells them to do. So hopefully they'll do their job to the best of their ability. Also, you know, there is a little bit of a gap because this new order is supposed to apply retroactively. So there might be some terrorists who race to get visas in this gap period, and to them I say, too bad, because 8 USC 1182 gives the president the right to do this, and those will be the few people that might make the most noise, at least initially.
All right. Well, go ahead, Philip, real quickly.
There's really no guarantee that they're going to be issuing any new visas in the next 10 days anyway, so that right there might make the whole thing moot.
That could be the issue. Philip Holloway, John Spilbore, thank you both.
Thanks, John.